I don't normally do this, but we're going to watch that again in half speed just because it's that cool. I mean, this is just unbelievable, right? The dash with the neon slide. Look at the timing of that, man. There was a bizarre game that happened on Icebox earlier today. In the Japanese Challenger League, a team called Reject decided to play this comp on Icebox. And I thought my Icebox Premier Guide with Yoru yesterday was kind of, getting a bit frisky. But this takes it to a whole new level. I mean, Neon, I literally can only remember one Neon ever being played on Icebox, and that was Optic back in the day with Victor. But then you've got Breach, you've got Cypher as well. It's let's face it, it's very weird. And as you may expect, early on, they did have some defensive struggles. There was a lot of setups kind of like this with the Cypher trips double on B right here. It is going to be a B hit from their opponents, but then you see we've got nothing here in mid, which means that Alert can potentially create a lot of damage, which it will do in the last part of this round. And also, they struggled in general to stop some of these hits.
行きづらいですね、A には。なので、もう B 側だろうということで、リジェクトは B 側に人数寄せてますね。
さあ、ここで B に対してリコンが入りました。イエロー、ハルスがイエローの裏。さあ、ここはワイヤーが機能する前にハルスが先に倒れた。そしてレコニング、ミッドに対してもレコニングを使って索敵を行います。ハンターズフューリーも入ってきた。さあ、もうアルティメットをありったけぶち込んだ。さあ、ブライアンリレーボルトを使って設置を終えたところ前突っ込んでましたが、アレンのカバーの前に倒れます。そしてミッドラック、よしアウトローを持った赤目、残り HP は1。一人は持っていったが、
いやもう2発。
So what do you do if you don't have the comp to necessarily stop some of these execs on defense side? Well, you have to get aggressive, and to be fair, they did start to get aggressive in some of these rounds as well, and comboing stuff like this, right? So Breach done down here across B, and your Neon is going to sprint up with the ult as well. Now, if I was them here as well, I'd be saying, maybe let's swap the Jet and the Cypher here, right? Like, have your Cypher play passive over towards A because your Neon is already coming up. You could maybe send the Jet up there as well, right? So we're getting really aggressive here towards B, playing probably more of a retake towards A, I think would make a bit more sense. But in general, when they were aggressive, they could find some success.
さあ、これで追いついたぞ、スカーズ。4対4。おー、突っ込んできた。オーバードライブ。さあ、もうちょっと。ガレージ2人今閉じ込められています。
ああ、ちょっと孤立してしまっている。
さあ、ブライアンプレッシャーをかけ続ける。
いやこれプレッシャーかけてる間に赤目の動き見てください。
赤目が映画を前に詰めていってるぞ。さあ、うまく点
持っていくんじゃないかっていう。
If I'm honest, I'm not really that interested in their defense side because their attack side was a lot more interesting. And you'll see it from the very first pistol round, the kind of general idea that they had playing Jet and Neon together.
さあ、13ラウンド目。まずは B メイン勢いよく突っ込んでいったのは赤目。
いやー、そのままドライでいった。
アビリティは4トライのみ。
展開がすごいぞ。
さあ、突っ込んできてる。
And they would actually end up losing that round, but you can see the initial idea straight away, right? That interestingly enough, this Jet has won updraft on a pistol round, right? Already, that's kind of weird. You don't normally see the Jet go for an updraft on a pistol round. Normally, it's a cloud burst and ghost instead, right? But the reason that they've done that is for this exact reason. The Jet is going to dash across and updraft into the tower here whilst the Neon runs around this way very fast. And so I'm going to nickname this comp the Armed Forces. Your Neon here is like the army coming across the ground. Your Jet is like the Air Force coming up here. And your Breach with the stuns is kind of like the artillery, right? The deep support. And it works really well. And we're going to see many clips of this working very, very well. And even though they do end up losing this round, you get a good sense for just that initial plan. And it is a very cool plan. And as we'll see in some of these later clips, it works very well. But it wasn't just a cool comp with a cool idea that they had. They did something that I think is a really, really good idea. And I could go into a whole video about this, but just very quickly I'll explain. They decided after losing the pistol round, they just bought a Guardian with no shields, and the Jet has no money left. And the Jet is not close to getting their ult either, right? So they just went for a Guardian. If we lose this round, this player just cannot buy, right, whatsoever. The thing is, though, I think this is genius, and maybe I will do a whole video about this, but just very quickly, on attack side in particular, you can somewhat choose who's going to take the first fight. Right, so you can have it so that you know that this Jet is likely to be the first person to take a fight, and maybe they can win that fight with a gun like the Guardian, right? And if not, then, hopefully it gets dropped in a position where someone is there to pick it up, and then, potentially you have like 5 people with a Guardian if, you just keep going down the line, essentially. Now, obviously, if you lose this round, this person then can't buy. But the thing is, for the next round, if I was this team, I'd be saying, okay, Breach, you're going to drop for the Jet. You're not going to have a gun next round because you're not going to take the first fight next round, right? One of your two duelists, maybe even both, are going to take the first fight, and you're just going to be there to support from deep, so you don't need the gun straight away, right? And if they die or if they live, you can hopefully maybe pick up a gun from someone else later on in the round, and all will be fine. And these second rounds are not easy to win, but when you do this strategy, you actually have a chance.
ホールドラインでの進行は食い止められました。
さらにはこのカスケードが落ちたタイミング、マーシャルの車線を通すこともできますからね。
さあ赤目はドライピークでイエロー裏に進行。この位置取りはアレン赤目とのワンバイワン。ここは赤目が制す。さあナノスワームの起動によって残り HP は16ですが、ブライアン踏み込んだ。すでにキッチン前までたどり着いています。
しかもこれキルジョイ落ちたんで、このギャンピンのポジショニング、
さあミッドの窓からまさかピークしてくるとは。
これもう一人いますからね。
スカーズまたしても行い慣れていないリテイクとなりますが、
ただルモが落ちてるんで、これリテイク苦しいですね。
目はもうありません。武器はブルドッグ2つ。しかし角を見た。さあフラッシュ直撃はしているが、解除に対してノック抜き。
オールとラインは避けれないですね。
サイバーケージを使ってうまく回避をしていたんですが。
Now this next round really doesn't need that much explanation because you're going to see one of the sickest A execs on Icebox you are ever going to see.
そしてきましたね、オンリーワンのオペレーター。ただ今のところドライ進行のイメージが強い B 側の方に持っていってしまいましたね。
さあ突っ込んできたよ。
シンクロナイズドスイミング。
空中でダブルピークを仕掛けてきた。
Now, I don't normally do this, but we're going to watch that again in half speed just because it's that cool. I mean, this is just unbelievable, right? The dash with the neon slide. Look at the timing of that, man. Look at the timing of that. What do you do if you're this sober? Imagine if you were ever actually in the game and this happened to you. What do you do? It's so amazing. And then the ult as well, just to then, you know, get multiple more kills. Just what an exec. One thing I love about when you see weird agent picks on maps is when you can tell there's actually been some real thought about why we are playing it and some of the things that we can do that you might not expect.
ダウンがあった段階とはいえ、ちょっと手痛いラウンドですね。
おっと抜かれてしまった。
So again, just insanely good stuff, and the timing is perfect of it as well, right? That they know that, hey, these two are, you know, one off their ult. It's likely that, you know, someone's going to try and grab that ult up to get their ult, particularly this Jet in this round. That's a save round, right? So what do? We go for this insanely good play. And bouncing a Neon Stun off the ceiling, like, you don't think about doing that, but it's so good. And then the Jet updraft up here because they want to punish it. Just everything super, super good. And then again, I don't really need to do too much analysis for this one either, because at some point, they just started having a lot of fun with it.
さあ今まで見せていないリジェクトの攻め、いい攻めとなります。
ファーストと同じような形で入ってきますね。
さあ雪だるま前。おっともう後ろバックスライディング。
I mean, that is just unbelievable, right? In a pro game to do that to someone, unbelievable, right? I mean, this reminds me of my youth, right? Going out on Friday nights. This is like me back in the day. Unbelievable neon movement. Doing that in a pro game is just straight up disrespectful. Now, to be fair, they did actually start to struggle a bit once they got up to 12 rounds there and actually needed overtime to win the game. In particular, they started to struggle against the AWP.
かいくぐれるか。挟み込みに行っているキッチンからと B メインからもう一人オンリーワン。前に行った。
全部崩した。
4人目まだある。ブライアン前に行った。
やばすぎる。
ウィーク1に続いて B メインで起きた。
And the question though is going to be, you know, can this comp have sustainable success? Would I recommend playing it to other teams? And the thing is, you know, they had a problem. I would guess the comp came about from just that one idea, right? What if we have the Jet go up high and the Neon go on low, right? And how does someone stop that? And as we saw, that is very difficult to stop. Now, I do still think there's going to be problems for them if they continue to play this, particularly on the defensive side. But, you know, Icebox is a hard map to stop people from running it down if they've got a comp that's pretty good at that, right? Like, a lot of Icebox rounds are just 5 people hitting the site over and over again, right? They can struggle against ops, as you did see, and they did struggle against an op in multiple rounds of this, which makes sense again given their comp, because as soon as you kind of lose that initial kind of go, you know, you can struggle. So there definitely will be problems for them, but hey, they can win one game. You know, maybe they could surprise opponents again and win another.